a sports journalist. She covers a lot of things, and obviously she's back on the show as a returning guest. So I'm really excited to have her back. And first of all, how are you and your family doing so far during 2021? Obviously, we're in a new year, and I'm hoping for some positive things for all of us. But how are you guys doing?
On the same end, Nathan. More importantly, I wanted to give you a shout out because you're pushing that 700th episode. I think that's huge. People try to say that, oh, have to work through it, but I'm happy that you're still able to, one, get guests, get people to come on the show, and just create that portfolio. So that really matters. And to answer your question, I'm doing pretty good. Can't really complain, just one day at a time.
Yeah, thank you for the shout out. I really appreciate it. But I like what you do. You're doing a great job too with your stuff. And but first of all, what are your what have you been up to since the last time we spoke was last year? But what have you been up to with your stuff, and what have you been focusing on?
Of course. Well, I've been focusing on, ironically, taking. I finished a mentorship program with Gimlet. And Gimlet is a company that's associated, well, actually, they're a sister company of Spotify. And I was able to get that opportunity. So to get some sort of help and more guidance. And it's really opened up a lot of doors because there's so much networking opportunities, a lot of job opportunities from what I'm seeing. And then I'm also working on this other class that I started. It's called Diversify Social Media. And it's a lot, people like you and me who were not represented in media. These teams, when you look at them, they're very white. There's no culture right there. And if anything, they're taking our slang and using it and applying it. Meanwhile, their teams are super white. So that class just started yesterday. And I love the fact that I'm working with women that, one, are of color, and two, they've been around social media for a long time. They've done stuff with Netflix to BuzzFeed to ESPN. So very much a broad background. And yeah, I started the podcast, and I haven't been podcasting since October because November and December kicked my butt. And January is just a weird month. Like, when you're ready to start and it's like, oh, I'm gonna start Friday. Actually, can't do it today. Let me do it tomorrow. And then something kept coming up. So I said, you know what? If the energy is not there, let me just work on the topic. So I'm set to start recording for my episode. Hopefully tonight. If not, the episode will be out tomorrow.
Obviously, and also you got married last year. So what's it like being a married? What's married like right now?
Of course. Well, we actually celebrated our 1 year anniversary in December.
Nice.
Thank you. So honestly, you just have to be open to communication. And I think that people, they're like, oh, you have to take me no matter who I am, take my baggage and whatnot, which is, partially true. But communication really helps. You need to make sure that you guys are on the same page because you can't just walk out that door.
No.
If you want to, that's on you. But we're adults. You should be able to talk. Hey, you pissed me off. Just letting you know that's not how we act. Or should be able to communicate through things. So that's something that is very much valuable. But yeah, married life has been pretty good to us.
Yeah. So for you as a journalist, what have you learned from the past year to now when it comes to like covering sports and you're doing your work from home and utilizing different things and coming up with new things actually. So what have you learned as a journalist?
Yeah. Well, it's been real hard. I have to say, it's my 7th year. And you kind of just sit back and say, wow, everything is at a standstill. No one was able to do anything. We were only able to just hop on Zoom calls and Instagram lives and everything else. Now Clubhouse, a lot of people are on Clubhouse, but it's been challenging for sure because no one wants to be on a computer. People want to be interactive face to face, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen, in my opinion, for at least another year or two, personally speaking. I have a friend who's been going to games here and there at the Garden, and he told me, you know what, Erika, it's not worth it. Like, it's so much protocol, and rightfully so. They make you take a rapid test. There's no locker room access. So then really what's the point of going to just look in an arena when you could just do the same thing from home, unfortunately. So it's been a challenge because you just learn how to roll with the punches and just try to, think outside the box.
Right.
And this is a good opportunity for a lot of us to get involved in one another's shows, whatever work is going on, and if anything, give each other feedback.
Mhm. Hmm. So I wanted to get to an important topic right here, women in sports. And for you, what's it like seeing all these women getting opportunities to cover sports and coach sports and even being a ref? And obviously, we're going to witness that on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, with Sarah Thomas. And obviously, you have
Yeah.
Emil Harris, the first female vice president, and Sarah Fuller being the first female to kick a field goal, and Becky Hammond coaching the game this year. So, what's it like just seeing all these females and women getting more opportunities now?
It's absolutely beautiful. I love to see it, especially Spurs fans. So when Becky Hammond got that opportunity, I was like, wow, like this is great. But I love the fact that Pops and the entire Spurs organization, they very much back her, and they're like, we don't see her as a female coach. We see her as Coach Becky or Coach Hammond, however they call her, just out of respect. So I love to see those opportunities because that's exactly what we need to see. That we need to see more diversity, more inclusion, and it's definitely still going to take some time for a lot of people to still accept it because people are still stuck in their ways. I don't know if you noticed what Stephen A. Smith said the other
Yeah.
day. He was talking about MMA female fighters, and he said that he just doesn't want to see them get punched. Like he sees what they're doing and everything else. So there was a female boxer by the name of Heather Hardy
Hmm.
who went off on Twitter, and she was dropping a whole bunch of F bombs. And I love Heather Hardy. She is hilarious. She's from Brooklyn, surreal. So she doesn't give a damn. But I could understand where she's coming from as well, because like, what do you mean I can't punch like a girl? Am I not strong enough for this? You see me as a delicate flower. So I think that we really need to think before we speak sometimes.
Yeah. So do you see in the near future where some of these women like Becky Hammond are getting a full-time job at some point? Because if it doesn't happen in the next 2 years, I told myself that we're going to put a petition in for her.
I definitely see it happening for sure. There's so much experience there, and I think that there's a lot of barriers that are being broken down. So I agree with you. I think I see it happening too.
Hmm. So I want to talk to you about what are your overall thoughts on this NBA season so far, and with the Knicks and the Nets, with the two local teams. Obviously, both teams are in different directions. What are your overall thoughts?
Of course. Well, the Nets were definitely a surprise at first because, Kyrie went AWOL. Then out of nowhere, what's his name, joined the team, Harden. So they're still lacking some depth, and they're also there's not a lot of defense that's there. You can notice based on the high scoring games. But the Knicks, I have to say, I'm definitely giving them a lot of credit, especially with Coach Thibs. Um, he's working, he's putting a lot of work into RJ Barrett. You could tell that Julius Randle has just blossomed into the player that he once was. And I really hope he's an all-star, even though my opinion on the all-star game is a little
Yeah.
far-fetched. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people agree with it. Like, I feel like they're trying to force the all-star game this year. At the end of the day, they got to eat. So I understand that you got to make money somehow. But I just don't think it's the right time. Like, there's no fans that aren't going to be allowed in attendance. Like, the vibes aren't going to be there. But the season overall, to answer the first part of your question, I think it hasn't been too bad. Based on like the number of cancellations of games have gone down. Players haven't been into contact with anyone who has COVID because the rate of exposure is crazy with that. But it just makes you wonder, like when is this all going to end? But like we just said earlier, it's probably going to take another 2 years or so.
Hmm. So let's get to the Knicks real quick, and I want to ask you, what do you like about the team? And Tom Thibodeau even though the record doesn't show yet, but the Tom Thibodeau has them playing hard, and actually they're competing in games than last year, because last year you see like they give up on some games, but this year they don't give up. They keep going. They fight to the end. But what have you seen so far with the growth of the Knicks from last year to now, with now Tom Thibodeau and the new front office?
You definitely just nailed it. Like, you would see the first half, they would have the lead. Then after the break, they come back for the third and fourth quarter, it just spirals on down.
Mm.
So I think that Thibs is definitely making sure that they're looking back at this tape like, hey, you see your error there, you see your error there. Like, to me, he's a defensive coach, and you could tell, but I think he's definitely making sure that they catch their mistakes. And their record reflects it. they're scoring points. They're doing like Julius Randle scoring threes. Like he's back in his zone.
Hmm. So do you think if they make a move at the trade, depending where their record is towards the trade line and All-Star break, do you see them like making a trade? And do you see us sneaking into the playoffs in the 8th seed or something?
I could see the sneaking into this eighth seed, but like barely. But then I'm depending if they don't lose like some of these games, like they almost lost to the Bulls the other night, even though it was a good scoring game. They barely won it. But as far as trades are concerned, I have to admit I have not seen anything for the trade deadline. I've kind of been staying away from it. But I just hope that there's rumors I did see with Kevin Knox's name being involved, that he might get traded. But he's being developed, and I think that's something that they need to focus on.
Hmm. Now, excuse me, switching gears to the Nets. Obviously, the Nets are with a lot of firepower. So, what was your initial reaction to the trade first with James Harden and the teams that were involved? And obviously, they gave up a lot of depth in their draft picks, and I think they still need a lot more depth, in my opinion, to compete for a
They
championship.
do.
But what are your overall thoughts on the trade, and what do you like about Brooklyn and the other teams that got? Actually, I think all teams benefited in this trade.
I only think that the two players that they lost, which was Chris Levert and I think was it, oh my God, he's on, I'm spacing out, but he's on the Cavs. Forget his name.
Oh, um, which who?
I can't think of his name.
Jared Allen? No.
Huh?
Wait,
Jared, yes.
yeah, Jared.
Jared Allen. Yep. Because I'm like, no, it's not Spencer Dinwiddie. He's still on the team. But yeah, you could just tell like that energy is there, especially when they lost to the Cavs back to back. So that's an asset that you are missing on that team. And he was a part of that. So same thing with Karis LeVert. I mean, he's recovering from his surgery from kidney stuff, but I was actually a little annoyed that that both of them were traded away. But James Harden, I just feel like I need to see more team chemistry in order to see it work.
Mm-hmm. What do you think they need for more depth? And obviously they signed Iman Shumpert, but they need I think they need another big man or two. So what do you see? What do you think they need? Do you think they should for example like JaVale McGee or Andre Drummond or some other big man like that?
I actually think Andre Drummond would be a good fit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So, what are your thoughts on from outside those teams? What are your thoughts on the other teams in the Eastern? What are your take on the Eastern Conference and Western Conference?
For sure. Well, I definitely think that I hope that the Lakers don't repeat, and I hope that if you're a Lakers fan, my bad. I don't like teams. To me, it's boring, but I guess see talk. But I've been looking at some games lately. I have to admit, I wasn't watching too many games in January. So today's what, the 5th. So I'm slowly getting back into the groove of watching sports and stuff. So what I like seeing is the Suns' energy. Definitely the Mavs. But I'm a little bit concerned about Porzingis because I'm confused. Like, I don't think he's quite found his groove there. He's been coming off injury after injury. So, he's a big guy. Their injuries are much more relevant. Are much more bigger than ours are. But yeah, other than that, the other leagues, like I'm looking forward to seeing how Miami does. They're a closet favorite of mine. Jimmy Butler's energy is just like I see myself being friends with him because he looks like that down to earth guy.
So, I know it's too early, but who's your NBA Finals pick?
Ooh, that's too early. I have not thought about that, but I want to say maybe like the hometown in me. I mean, I'm not a Brooklyn Nets fan, but why not? Let's just throw the Nets in there for fun.
Yeah, for me, yeah, for me, I think it's going to be the Nets and Lakers.
Ooh, okay.
I think the NBA is rooting for that, and
yeah, I think so too.
Hopefully it does. Hopefully it does happen. I think that can be an intriguing matchup in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah. But so I don't know if you're following up with the WNBA free agency, but what are your thoughts on the WNBA off season and a lot of players moving and staying, and for example, the big name Candace Parker
Yep.
left LA to go to Chicago. Who leaves LA to go to Chicago? But I mean, obviously that's her hometown in Chicago. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? What was your thoughts on that?
That's literally, I was just gonna say, if there's any from WNBA I've kept up with, is definitely Candace Parker. She's one of my favorites, and I was surprised at that too. And a lot of people were talking about that for days. I don't know if you noticed that, and it's definitely gotten a lot of buzz. I think I agree with you. I'm just shocked because to me it's a downgrade, but the Chicago Sky are a good team, so we can't just discredit them.
Right.
Sparks are the Sparks, regardless. They're a good team, but I'm curious to see one, when the season's going to start, and two, like how they're going to figure it out, and that team dynamic. I'm curious about it.
So, would you say this compares to LeBron leaving or KD leaving?
Ooh, I want to say yeah.
Yeah.
She's a high favorite, and she's a fan favorite. People know her name. They can't just say, "Oh, no one pays attention to WNBA." No, that's not true. People indeed pay attention to WNBA.
So do you think? All right. So now since she's back home in Chicago, and obviously they have three other great talented players, and that team is loaded. So do you think this is a championship or bust year for the Chicago Sky now?
I think so. Absolutely agree. And I love their jerseys. It's a nice powder blue.
Yeah, but so I want to ask you, WNBA overall, what do you have liked? And obviously the commissioner is doing a great job.
Yeah.
Not only I'm not talking about like on the court. I'm talking about off the court with the
Yep.
the movement from last year and the things that they're doing as a group to make everything better. So what have you liked from the WNBA and the NBA side, both sides actually?
Well, WNBA has definitely been loud with their social justice, and I think that's one thing that has to continue to stay highlighted because out of all the leagues, they're the ones who were loud. You know, you can tell what they did with one of the Atlanta Dream co-owners, and hopefully LeBron and company end up buying the Dream because it'd be amazing. But you can always count. This is why you always see these campaigns. Like you really have to protect Black women. Like they are out there on the forefront fighting, and they didn't hide their tongues. I'm sorry, they didn't hold their tongues. Shouldn't anyway. Like if you have a platform, you should be able to use it to some sort of extent to spread another's positive message. And NBA side, oh man, they were amazing, especially that walkout with the, and I forgot they were playing that day. I forget the team, but that walkout, and then it led to the other teams walking out. Like that was beautiful to see because we're not just gonna shut up and play and or using sports as a distraction. No, we're way beyond that.
So how weird was it not seeing fans still in the NBA games, but obviously NFL had some fans in their stadiums. But how weird is it not seeing fans in the NBA games right now still?
Yeah, and some, like you're saying, like there's some fans allowed, and it's still weird because you can hear everything a lot louder. I don't think it's something that we're ever going to adjust to, and we're going to look back on this and be like, wow, this is literally what happened because you had no choice. Versus the NFL, it is a little bit troublesome, especially the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
When they advanced to Super Bowl, like people were like, that's not 15,000 people.
Oh, that's more than
well, exactly, right? So it makes me wonder, it's definitely money is the motive, and everybody has to eat too, but I think that the protocols aren't being taken as serious as they should be.
Mm-hmm. So all right, let me ask you this. If you were a fan, right, down the line when everything clears up and obviously the virus will still be there, but once when we get some like clearance or are you the type of person that would go back to a sporting event or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. A concert. I can't wait to burn these masks. I do not like wearing them, but looking good.
Right. So you're a Mets fan, right?
Big time.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Obviously, big news happened today with Trevor Bauer with the Dodgers. Are you surprised that he turned down the Mets offer to go to the Dodgers?
I think they were pressured by Mets fans with everything that was going on last week with GameStop. Then Trevor Bauer is very much outspoken on social media. I don't know where a lot of it's coming from, I have to admit. So that's something I should educate myself on. But from what I managed to read is that a lot of Mets fans were like, ownership cannot bring this guy to the team. He sends his trolls after people.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't control people behind a screen. Like people are feeling empowered with a keyboard and a phone.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to deal with it. But I did notice some sentiment about that. And I want to say I'm not surprised. Probably just didn't want the New York media attention. And I understand because I've seen the New York media in a room and I'm just like, all right, you guys need to simmer down.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, LA is a big market too, so he needs.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see that. All I can say is the NL West with the Padres and Dodgers pitching staff. I think it's gonna be between the Padres and Dodgers, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Padres, you can't dismiss them anymore. They're not a weak team. I can't remember the names on their pitching rotation only because I just paid attention more to their outfield and infield, but I should remember who.
Well, they have Blake Snell now, Yu Darvish,
Yeah, Darvis. I forgot about him. Yep.
Yeah.
You see, that's how much I just miss the Padres that I forget. It's the Mets fan in me. I'm like, they sucked for so many years that, oh, they're okay now. All right. All right.
But so overall though, what do you like about the Mets offseason? Obviously, Steve Cohen brought you guys Lindor, Carrasco. What do you like about that so far?
Well, Carrasco definitely is. He's not being talked enough about, and that's something that's been bothering me. But I'm happy that both of them are on, especially like the best shorts. In my opinion, the best shortstop in the game is now a New York Met. Carrasco, thankfully he beat cancer. I think about a season or two ago, or maybe three. I can't remember, but I know that there's a big campaign behind that, and thankfully he came back and he's been kicking butt. That you can't dismiss Cleveland either, but the Mets were definitely the winners on that end of the trail.
Mm-hmm. So before we get to your Super Bowl pick, what for you? What's it like now, just seeing young kids and using their platforms and starting shows like what Global Kid Media, 14-year-old kid, he has his own show, and there's this girl, a 9-year-old girl, her name is I think Pepper. She has her own show, and what's it like to seeing these kids use their platforms and starting shows now, like us?
I think it's pretty cool. I just hope that it's not their parents pushing them behind their dream, or I hope it's organic and it's honest. More importantly, because we've seen parents that are pushing their kids, and low key, it's them who want that dream, and they're pushing their kids to achieve what they couldn't achieve. But I think it's really great because like the power of social media is there. It's a tool that's good for you, but just make sure to have a good website. Copyright your name if anything, if and when you feel it's necessary to. But that's great. I think it's awesome thing.
So what are all right, before we get to the Super Bowl picks, do you have anything in the works with your show? Anything big coming up with your show?
Well, I definitely am working on the topics. I think I'm going to release the episode tomorrow or before all the madness of Super Bowl happens. It's kind of just me bringing myself back into the space, but after everything I learned from the mentorship program and now with the social media program I started, I think that I'm definitely grasping a better understanding of when to post, what's good content, also attention spans, which is something that we are competing with, unfortunately. Sometimes people are not going to sit there and watch 30 to 40 minutes, unfortunately. But if they follow you, if they respect what you have to say, of course they're going to listen. They're your audience. So you have to keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm trying to work on guests, trying to see who I can slide in their DMs and just, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that for example,
just one message.
Yeah, for example, people are like some of my other friends who do shows too. They reach out to me now saying, how do you do this? How do you get guests? And they always ask me to for my help to help them to get guests. So like I'm constantly getting messages because with all I didn't expect my show to be like this, to grow like this, but it's growing by the minute, and it's all about networking, hard work, and persistence.
Yeah, hard work pays off, but and a cliche too, but it does.
Yeah. So, all right, who do you have in the Super Bowl?
I'm a little bit on the fence with this, and it's because I don't know if I want to choose this team, but I want to say Tampa Bay. I think the pressure is more on them than it is the Chiefs. But you have the other side of this where, the chance to repeat, which we, would love to see. But I think that Brady's feeling the pressure more. And one of our colleagues actually Ashley Baker, she
Yeah.
was talking about that. That was a little bit of a tongue twister. She was talking about that, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even think about this. So now that's why I'm mentioning it to you. So I'm definitely gonna be watching. I don't care who wins, but I want to say the Bucks have it.
hmm
How
I got
about you?
I got the Bucks also. I feel
Yeah.
like for them being the first team to host the Super Bowl,
Yes.
I would like to see them capitalize on another history, the first team winning a Super Bowl
Yeah,
at home. So I
I
think,
agree.
and Tom Brady, he's going to come out. Obviously, he's going to do what he does, and I feel like some fans will be there, obviously, and with healthcare workers too. So I really
Mhm.
do think being home does have a kind of advantage. But you can't obviously you can't discount the Chiefs.
No, you can't.
Patrick Mahomes is known for coming back, so the
He
Buccaneers
is.
need to be on their toes pretty much the whole game. So
No, I completely agree, Nathan. And it's a beautiful thing, especially when you compare. I can't help but see their ages. I forget how old Patrick Mahomes is, but
he's like 24, 25, I think. I'm not too
yeah.
sure.
So it's pushing a 2 decade age gap, which I love to see because Tom Brady doesn't even let his age show. I mean, you notice a few gray hairs, which weren't there a few seasons ago, but he is loud and proud, and I love it. And I think him on social media, he cracks me up because I'm a Giants fan, but at the same time, I can appreciate what he's doing out there in the space.
Hmm. So before we get to the last thing, what advice would you give to young girls that are trying to be in this business? And obviously now they're seeing a great movement here, positive change for them.
Yeah,
So what advice would you give to young girls that are?
I would definitely say to ignore male journalists because sometimes you do get backhanded comments, and make sure to not hold your tongue and fire right back because some comments I've been told, I'm very happy that it did not shut up. And you sometimes have to put people on blast. The other part of advice I would say is don't give up. And of course, easier said than done.
Mhm.
But there's so many parts in sports that people forget that you can work in partnerships, you can work on the business side, you can work sales and ticketing, social media. So if you want to be on air, just focus that, okay, let me at least get in some way and then let me work up towards that goal.
Okay. And well said. And the last thing here, so me and my co-host Alyssa, we partnered up with the Hugh Jackson Foundation, and this is a foundation where they're trying to help prevent human trafficking, and so we're ambassadors for them now, and we're really grateful to be part of it. And obviously Hugh Jackson, former NFL coach, he's trying to get back into coaching, but mainly focus on this, and we're trying to help make the community safer and the kids make the right choices and
That's beautiful.
prevent human trafficking. So I just want to bring that up, and I'll send you the page so you can check it out when you get a chance. And
No, for
you know,
sure.
they're doing, they're doing great things. So
No, to me, it's crazy the fact that we have to walk around with tasers, with pepper spray, with our keys in our fingers to make sure that, just in case someone's going to grab you from the back. But these are the things that unfortunately men don't think about because we're targets. But I mean, men could also be targets, for theft and stuff. But the abductions is real, especially for women.
yeah, but I just want to say this wraps up episode 693 with returning guest
Woo!
Erika Fernandez, sports journalist. I just want to say thank you for coming back on the
Of
show.
course.
Hopefully you get to meet my co-host soon, Alyssa. She's
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait.
yeah,
Thank
but
you, and I appreciate you. Stay safe.
anytime. Keep up the great work. I love what you
Right
do,
back at you.
and you and your family stay safe too.
Thank you. Stay safe as well. Bye.